we'll start positive. We'll start with the teams that go forward. And I think, first of all, the teams that stands out, you can say really the team that won the draft, the Baltimore Ravens. Just an absolute great draft for them. Rounds 1 through 7, they got great depth. They didn't really move up too much, so they got the guys they wanted at their draft slots. They got Patrick Queen, who is, regarded by most, if you read a lot of draft mock drafts or read a lot of draft prospect profiles, Patrick Queen was regarded by most as the best linebacker in this class. The Ravens get him, a great linebacker without trading up, so they keep all their draft assets. He falls to them, and he will fit perfectly in that Ravens defense. And also like Malik Harrison, too. They got him in the 3rd round, linebacker of Ohio State. I think he's another kind of athletic linebacker that can go sideline to sideline. That'd be a great fit for that Ravens defense. And really the pick I love the most, Patrick Queen is great, don't get me wrong. 2nd round, the Ravens getting J.K. Dobbins. This is what I love when teams fortify a strength. They see a strength, which is, for the Ravens' case, the run game. Right? Last year, they set the single-season rushing record for a team in the NFL in one season. And what do? They build on top of a strength. They bring in another young running back in J.K. Dobbins, who, by most, depending on overall skill set, you could say was the best running back in the draft. They get him in the 2nd round, so you get great value. As a Penn State fan, as a person who watches not only a lot of college football, a lot of Big Ten football, J.K. Dobbins is legit. He doesn't get hit too often. He's very fast. He's deceptively fast, but also breaks a lot of tackles. He is going to be a great fit for this Ravens offense that is really a hybrid of punching in the mouth, lining up, and just basically running down your throat, but also getting to the edge and using their speed to also run past you. J.K. Dobbins is a perfect blend for what Baltimore does in the run game, and he's going to be so much fun to watch. They added Devin Duvernay to go in the slot a little bit later on, which is an interesting stat here, because the Ravens, despite having one of the best efficient pass games in the NFL, despite Lamar Jackson leading quarterbacks with 36 touchdown passes, the Raven wide receivers, just the wide receiver position alone, had the least amount of receiving yards of any wide receiver group in the NFL last year. It's very interesting. So despite all their success with the pass game, how efficient they were, and again, Lamar Jackson leading the league with 36 touchdown passes, the wide receivers weren't as productive as maybe you would hoped and think. So they had Devin Duvernay to go along with Hollywood Brown as the big speed threat on the outside there for sure. So overall, I thought the Ravens had a great, solid draft. They got a lot of great impact players, and they fit their team more important. That's the most important part. Fit, and how do they fit in the scheme of what you're trying to do offensively, defensively. I thought the Ravens hit it out of the park. Same with the Cowboys. I mean, there was a lot of worry and intrigue with Jerry Jones basically drafting on his own. It came out that Jerry Jones was going to be basically the sole person making the decisions for the Cowboys. If you go back a few years when Johnny Manziel was in the draft, basically Jerry Jones had to be talked off the ledge and talked out of drafting Johnny Manziel, and they actually went with Zach Martin on the offensive line, and we saw that was a great pick because he's still there, and that offensive line is one of the best in the NFL. But it took a lot of convincing for Jerry Jones to not draft the shiny object, not get kind of swept away with what Johnny Manziel was back in the day, and take the smart pick. So there was some concern that, wow, who is going to be this guy that Jerry Jones is going to fall in love with, not fit the team, or just be that shiny object that's going to distract for what the Cowboys really need. And drafting CeeDee Lamb, where they did, having him fall to him at 17, is both that and also it's not. It's a great pickup for the Cowboys. Now you add him with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Ezekiel Elliott. This Cowboys offense is going to light it up in 2020. It's going to be so much fun to watch. And if I'm Dak Prescott, you know what I'm doing right now? I am sprinting to sign the franchise tag, because now you add CeeDee Lamb, a great stud wide receiver at Oklahoma, to this offense that already led the league in total offense last year. You sprint to sign that franchise tag because guess what? Your stats are only going to inflate, not just with the addition of CeeDee Lamb, but also you have Mike McCarthy, so you think the offense should evolve better than what it was under Jason Garrett. Your numbers, your play should theoretically be better than it was last year. So you sign the franchise tag, you get $33 million this year, get your numbers, put up great offensive numbers, and guess what? Hit the open market with even more leverage than you have this year. I think it's going to be a plus for Dak Prescott with this. And then they got Trayvon Diggs in the second round. They needed secondary help. They got it. And also got great value with Trayvon Diggs getting there in the second round. So great job by Jerry. They got a center, Tyler Biadasz from Wisconsin. Travis Frederick obviously retired a few weeks ago. So now you fill that hole in the offensive line. Jerry, for all the worry of him drafting on his own, Doing it in style, by the way, drafting on a yacht. Only Jerry could do an NFL draft on his yacht. I thought the Cowboys absolutely crushed it. And a team I thought had a very sneaky draft that was already a pesky team last year that I think is going to take the next step. Maybe not be a playoff team this year, but are building to where, next year and 2 and 3 years, this is going to be a very, very tough team to defeat and are going to be built very well. I think it's the Cardinals. They got a very versatile weapon with Isaiah Simmons at number 8. A guy that I think is going to fit very well in the defense. And as long as you know what to do with him, I think will be very effective. We saw what Clemson did. They put him basically everywhere. Defensive line, outside linebacker, safety, corner. He played everywhere in the field last year. I think if the Cardinals can do that, they will get a ton of value and be very happy with their pick of Isaiah Simmons at number 8. And then they got insane value on a left tackle in Josh Jones, another major position of need. They get him in the 3rd round, despite not having a 2nd-round pick because they got DeAndre Hopkins. So if you look at it, they got in the 2nd-round pick DeAndre Hopkins, a great stud wide receiver to give Kyler Murray another weapon. He had Dane Brugler, who is a great draft analyst for The Athletic, had Jones rated as a borderline 1st-round grade, late 1st round, early 2nd-round grade. They got him in the 3rd round. So they helped bolster their offensive line that needed a lot of help last year. In Josh Jones, get him in the 3rd round. You get Isaiah Simmons, who is a versatile jack-of-all-trades defensive weapon at number 8. You basically get the best player available, which is, I think very smart for the Cardinals. And I love the Eno Benjamin draft in the late 7th round as a running back. He's very good at Arizona State. And they made some solid front 7 additions. So overall, I think the Cardinals addressed their needs that they had and got a lot better on top of trading for DeAndre Hopkins in free agency. I really like what the Cardinals are building. Like I said, I think they were 5-11 last year, a very frisky team. So despite not winning too often, they still were tough out. They pushed the 49ers to the brink both times they played them. They were a very frisky and a tough out team. I think they were going to even increase that this year. And like I said, next year, watch out. I think the Cardinals are really developing and building something special out there in Arizona. 3 teams that took a step back real quickly. We'll get into this with Joe DeLuisio in just a few minutes here. The Packers. I mean, what the hell are the Packers doing? 13-3, NFC title game last year. Aaron Rodgers still playing, at the prime of his career, or at least still playing at a high level. You have Jordan Love. They trade up to draft Jordan Love. Then they draft A.J. Dillon, a running back out of Boston College in the 2nd round, despite really being those 2 strengths of the team. Quarterback and running back with Aaron Jones, those you could say are the 2 biggest strengths the Packers had, and they used their first 2 picks and addressing those positions. And I told you, I like what the Ravens did by kind of building onto an already what they have in a strength in the run game by drafting J.K. Dobbins. That's how the Packers did here. They didn't add on to a strength by drafting Jordan Love or A.J. Dillon. They basically just blocked them adding and addressing bigger needs that they have because A.J. Dillon, we see, is a nice running back out of Boston College. Will he be a replacement for Aaron Jones? We'll see. But Aaron Rodgers, and when you draft Jordan Love, you're not strengthening the quarterback position right now. In 2020, or 2021, or 2022. You're playing the long game. You're basically rebuilding for 2022, 2023, 2024. If this was a team that truly wanted to win now, their biggest need, their glaring need, coming into the draft, coming into free agency, was a wide receiver. The Packers had 9 picks, so they had plenty of chances to draft a wide receiver at one point or another to help give Aaron Rodgers a weapon that he dearly needs outside of Devontae Adams. And it would work perfect for the Packers because guess what? This is the deepest NFL draft we've seen maybe in forever, right? You hear all the great wide receivers, all the great value you can get in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even 5th round. You can get a guy in the 4th or 5th round that could be a starter for you to start the season. So it's not like there was only 3 wide receivers the Packers had a choice of, and they were too good last year. They couldn't get up high enough to get one. No, they had plenty of chances to draft a wide receiver. They didn't. They didn't draft one wide receiver at all with their 9 picks, and now they'll go into 2020. With outside of Devontae Adams, who is great, this is a supporting cast around him. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Malik Taylor, Equanimeous St. Brown, Darius Shepard, Alan Lazard, Jay Kumaro, Devin Funchess, their big free agency addition, and Reggie Begelton. Yeah. Good luck trying to replicate the 13-3 with that wide receiving core outside Devontae Adams. Quickly, the Falcons, I don't think they addressed their main needs. They needed a corner. That was a team that we thought was going to trade up. They stayed at 16. I thought they overreached for A.J. Terrell, the corner out of Clemson. They didn't do enough to get an edge rush. And for a team that needs to win this year, Dan Quinn, Thomas Dimitroff are both on the hot seat. They need to make the playoffs. Their division got harder. I don't think they got enough impact guys to help this year to 2020 and to help them improve from their down year. And I thought the Eagles had a very weird draft. They drafted Jalen Reagor, who's basically a clone of Deshaun Jackson. I understand Jackson barely played last year, so maybe, if you're not counting him too much, but he signed a 3-year deal last year. He's still on the roster for 2 more years. So he basically took the same exact player as Deshaun Jackson, but younger and maybe healthier in Jalen Reagor, over a guy like Justin Jefferson, who's still there, who a lot of draft experts, draft analysts had ranked higher than Jalen Reagor and significantly higher. So they overreached for a smaller wide receiver that's fast. They took Jalen Hurts with their second round pick. Doesn't make any sense. I think he's Taysom Hill. He is newsflash, and we'll get to Jalen Hurts when we talk about quarterback grades here. He's basically Tim Tebow. So we're going to do hit or miss, what we got right, what we got wrong. First wide receiver taken. I said it was going to be Henry Ruggs, and I actually predicted it to the Raiders. That was a hit, one of the few hits, so I'm really going to pat myself on the back on this one. Because, as we know, the Raiders love fast guys. They drafted Darius Hayward-Bay way, way earlier than they should have. Now, that was an Al Davis pick. Obviously, RIP is not here, but his legacy still lives on. And with the Raiders being in the same division as the Chiefs, you have Mike Mayock and John Gruden get to watch Tyreek Hill destroy them 2 times a year. Run all over them. I think they wanted a guy like that. So despite having at number 12 every receiver available to them, they could have got Jerry Jeudy. They could have got CeeDee Lamb. They went with the burner. They were the guy to take the top of the defense and be the answer to be like the Chiefs' Tyreek Hill. He went with Henry Ruggs, and that was one of the few we actually got right, as Henry Ruggs did go first to the Raiders. Second quarterback taken, I said Justin Herbert to the Chargers. We got that right, but the problem was he was a third quarterback taken. I really thought that the Dolphins are going to pass up on Tua Tagovailoa, draft a tackle, maybe even draft Justin Herbert if they were really feeling it. And that would leave the Chargers at their pick, which I thought they were going to be the safe pick and go Justin Herbert, which they did. The only issue, again, Tua Tagovailoa was a second draft pick taken at the quarterback position, not Justin Herbert. So that was a miss for sure. Another miss we had, the first tackle taken. We thought it was going to be the Giants. So the Giants or Dolphins, because on Thursday you had a lot of rumors that the Dolphins were thinking about trading up with the Lions to draft a tackle. So I really thought that Jedrick Wills Jr. out of Alabama was going to be that first tackle taken, and here's why. And whether it was the Dolphins trading up at number 3 or the Giants sitting pat at number 4, one of those 2 teams are going to have the first tackle and have the pick of the litter. And both head coaches have in common an Alabama tie. You have Joe Judge, the Giants head coach, who was actually on the Nick Saban staff at Alabama doing special teams. Not just that, he was obviously in New England before he came over to the Giants as a special teams coordinator. He's under Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick and Nick Saban have obviously a very friendly relationship, and they know each other very well. So you have that familiarity with an Alabama player coming with a head coach who has an Alabama background and an Alabama connection. So 2 different points there that connect back to Nick Saban. Brian Flores, same thing. He was in New England as well as a defensive coordinator. He was close to Bill Belichick, who's close to Nick Saban. So I figured that connection would lead in a time, especially in a year, where there's so much unknown, where there's not a lot of draft picks being able to be tested, when there's obviously, again, so much unknown, and really all you have to rely on is the tape and who you talk to coach-wise. I really thought Jedrick Wills Jr., coming out of Alabama, being a safe pick, that was going to be the pick for either the Giants or the Dolphins. Obviously, I was wrong. It's Andrew Thomas by the Giants. I actually like that pick a lot. I think it's a solid pick. It'll be a solid tackle for the Giants going forward. So that was a miss as well. Another miss, the first team to trade up, I really thought was going to be the Falcons. Falcons have a must-win year this year in 2020. Their head coach, Dan Quinn, their general manager, Thomas Dimitroff, both of their jobs depend on winning and making the playoffs this year. That got a lot harder. The Buccaneers, obviously, in their own division, are improving. The Saints had a great offseason as well. They're improving. So the Falcons I thought were going to have to trade up, and they were rumored to trade up, and they're aggressive, apparently, in trying to get a cornerback, which they needed. Jeff Okudah, maybe if they get it high enough, or if not, maybe they trade up to get C.J. Henderson. They weren't able to trade up. They stayed at 16, and actually it was the Buccaneers who were the first team to trade up. They traded up one spot with the 49ers to go to number 13 in order to draft Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. So that was a big miss for sure. I thought it was going to be the Falcons, ended up being the Buccaneers.